new junior research group will be born in the next January, which is called Person-Focused Analysis of Architectural Design. And this will last 4 years. So mainly, we will see how it's evolved, but this is the main idea. So let me start with, now, yes, we just jump into the content itself. And let me start with a small experience I had, which is the starting point of this project. Because we architects, we are normally fascinated by the architectural design process. So I should mention that because this is the crucial first point here. And this process starts by collecting the desires of some kind of collective of people who want some kind of use to be covered, and the architect transforms them into a definition in geometric and material properties, which finally they result in a built environment or a building which has certain properties from different perspectives. These buildings are also inserted in the city, and this creates what we call today the urban environment also. So this is what architects normally are focused all over their own time when they produce designs, the architectural design process. And me as a student of architecture, and also during the last years, I have been also fascinated about that. And also, parallelly to that, in 2009, I finished the architectural degree in 2015, sorry. But before that, I had the experience of musical studies where I had the opportunity to perform and play in different rooms and have the experience of the user in those places. So I realized how many specialists also here are involved. And in 2018, I had the opportunity to join the Institute of Technical Acoustics, and this gave me the opportunity to finally to join a group about architectural acoustics and to have interactions between architects and also specialists from those disciplines. And there you realize how important is the communication between the engineering part, in that case was acoustics, and the architectural design. So my main central point always was to create this bridge between the design of the architect and the vocabularies that the engineers they have in order to develop their own solutions for those buildings. And this was over the time, as you see here in this graph, which is the time is in the x-axis, and in the y-axis you see different institutions. Architects, we encounter different disciplines in our education. For example, urbanism, architectural representation, acoustics, or others, which are all of them form the architectural knowledge package, so to say. But whenever we go to other institutions, we see that other disciplines, they also relate to those points with another vocabulary. So this is my own experience, and in particular, I found really interesting and amazing how architects, we deal with a lot of topics which later on I saw that visual simulation departments were also dealing with, for example, with the virtual reality of visuals, but also space syntax is dealing with the urban analysis, which is in the end a very deep and concrete analysis of the urbanism knowledge we have in architecture. And this gave me the idea that we need some kind of bridges which help us to collaborate between architects and all these specialists which are around the architecture. However, this depiction was not so clear for me in the beginning, and it was like a puzzle of bulbs. But during the years, I think one starts to realize that there is a big bunch of pieces, which is the architectural design itself, and another bunch of pieces which is evident, which are connected to this architectural design, but they are special sciences for specific modalities, so to say. So there are connections between both fields, both universes, the architectural design in one side and the different sciences and engineering disciplines which are connected to them. However, the vocabularies are not always shared. And this creates a mismatch between what the architect wants to design and what the scientist is trying to understand in the architectural building. And sometimes happens the funny or special situation that both are studying the same object, however, they don't communicate too much between both. So the idea of this project is to erase from one moment the relationships between both and construct a new bridge which collocates or situates the person in the center. And this is something which is evident in some senses. However, in the last decades, it has been difficult to go to this direction. But nowadays we have enough tools to really tackle this problem. My idea would be to start only at the beginning from the acoustic perception side. And that's why the Institute of Technical Acoustics from the RWTH Aachen University is the host institution. However, the method, it's hopefully, and this is the idea, to be enlarged to the other modalities. And that's why here we have a big range of specialists from other disciplines. For example, we have also from visuals, or from urban connectivities, from environment, or from other disciplines, which there will be nice collaboration and nodes of this big network that in theory, this project wants to construct. So this is a bit in the future goal. However, we should start piece by piece, and this is why I think this is the way we can start safely. So to collocate or to situate the person in the center is the main goal of this new research project or this initiative. So now, if we want to go a bit deeper on what we are going to do exactly at the moment in the first years. So my idea is to start with an architectural design categorization based on expert and non-expert judgment of buildings. And this is something that everybody would think that is already existing. However, there is no consensus of how the architectural design is judged by different people, because the knowledge is made in pieces in different sciences. Why this is important for architects? This is crucial for architects because we architects in the first phase of the design process, which is depicted here in pink colors, we have the high chance, the high possibility to influence the impact and costs of the built environment in the end. So in this part of the design concept, of the early stages of the design process, all the variables are open. The geometry, the materials, the urban management or the urban distribution of the spaces. Everything is open, and we have the high chance to really make an impact in the final building environment. This is why studying how the building will perform in the last parts of the construction is here makes here a lot of importance and interest. But how we do that? My idea is to start a classification which has 3 stages, as we see here, in which one there is a first part A, which will collect adjectives. This is a big test that will be performed in the next years, a big test which includes, in the first part A, a collection of people who to ask, and they should ask and they should judge freely several scenarios or several buildings, so indoor and outdoor scenarios. This big test in the first part A will collect an output as a collection of activities, a big box of different activities that everybody from this collective of subjects to be tested, they will elicit in front of those buildings. Then in part B, the aim is to construct a vocabulary from those objectives that have been collected in the first part. And in order to make that, there will be a focus group inside of the team where they will construct a questionnaire based on the collection of adjectives, they will construct a questionnaire, make a selection of adjectives from them, and generate a metric or a test which can be scientifically tested with some statistic process. Again, there will be judging different scenarios, indoor and outdoor. We will talk about that later on. And with those information, we already have a personal weighted vocabulary, which means several adjectives which are rated with the individual responses of the people. Lastly, in part C, the idea is to correlate the vocabulary, that means the subjective data, which have been collected in the first part A and B, together with the metrics. And this means that we need to measure those spaces with several parameters. So the idea is to collect objective metrics which already they are existing in literature. For example, here I just inserted several ones: connectivity indexes, clustering coefficient, speech intelligibility, or more, which have to be defined. And those metrics from those specific spaces that the people was judging in part B have to be correlated with the judgments of those subjects themselves. The idea with this correlation is to learn how people judge a specific place and how this place was measured by a specific objective metric, and learn from those correlations for future designs or future architectural designs. This is the final goal: to learn from those cases in order to predict new architectural designs. And this is a final tool, which is the final goal of this project, which I will show you to you. So let's put an example now. Let's imagine we take Plaza del Rey in Barcelona, and we have a virtual environment where people can go inside, have an immersive experience, and the questionnaire is asking if he wants to sit down in this place, and he says, yes, 5, definitely, I would like to sit here, take a rest. And in parallel, we have several objective metrics measured from there. For example, a clustering coefficient of this square, which you see in the middle, Plaza del Rey. And this clustering coefficient, for example, is telling us how connected are one point of this grid of the urban network to the other points of the same grid. And we see that this area, which corresponds to the upper right corner of this Plaza del Rey, it's a low connected point to the other points of the grid. And there we can see that there is an inverse correlation between the aim to be there and the relaxedness aspect of this space. So, of course, we can replicate that as many times as people can be in this place, because the subject should have a big amount of people to be tested. But also we can replicate that in different parameters, not only the clustering coefficient, but others that I already mentioned. And from that, the idea is to learn for future designs. How would the prioritizer tool look like? So after the test that I have already explained some minutes ago, the tool will be ready, and this tool will allow the architect to insert a 3D model with several definitions: the geometrical definitions of the model, material definitions, and a future use. He wants to give this model a use. So this is the idea that the architect has in his mind: metro station, where he wants this space to be with a lot of light, but also wants to make attention to the acoustics here. For example, let's take the case of acoustics. So he can introduce this information to the tool, and the tool is giving him a prioritizer scale based on the information from the test, which is based on the objective and subjective data, which shows which elements of this architecture have high priority to be modified if you want to achieve a specific use. That means architectural acoustics in this sense, understanding the speakers, for example, from the metro station. Of course, there are information which you cannot change, for example, the black information, because the floor is already hard and you cannot change it. Also maybe because there are some industrial objects in the middle, for example, these mechanical staircases, which cannot be changed, of course. However, there are some panels for example, the ceiling here and the lateral panels, which have high priority to be modified if you want to really achieve this specific application. So this will take place in the phase 1, but this can be enlarged in the phase 2 and 3 for other modalities such as connectivity, space or safetiness, or others. So how to do that? I propose to make 2 case studies in order to be able to go to this problem. The first one is the concert hall, which is, for architects, the concert hall is an architectural typology very specific, very special one, because there is a very known choreography in those kinds of spaces. Everybody knows where to sit, when to sit down, what to look at, what to listen to, and this makes all the variables much more simpler and the environment very well controlled for test conditions, which is what we really need to test now. Additionally to that, at the Institute of Technical Acoustics, we have already a concert hall database, and this gives us the opportunity to already take some acoustic measurements of different concert halls that will be candidates for this project. And lastly, this is crucial here, we have already available several visual acoustics and visual representations which can be already implemented in real time, and this create a laboratory condition which is plausible and really realistic, which is what is our goal also. The second case study is completely the opposite, and this is the public square typology, which has a variety of use and activities inside of it. And this gives us a completely different scenario in acoustic senses, because the sound sources are moving, there are different background noises, target noises. There is a different interaction between the actors which are playing there. But also in visuals, this is completely another paradigm, because illumination is also dynamic. There are different fields of view in the last part of the streets or closer looks. So again, here we are expanding a bit the paradigm into a more rich scenario, which is also very challenging for the analysis of data, even. However, with my colleagues from Barcelona, Álvaro Clua, and also with Sofia Sarra from UCL, we had the opportunity to study some objective parameters from those open spaces, and this is what you see here. So it's something which is promising and gives me the confidence that we can go into this direction also. So, as you see, this is a very long-term plan. However, we are now only talking about phase 1, which comprehends the 4 first years, which only takes to account to the acoustic parameters. However, in phase 2 and 3, it will be nice and also needed for the architectural community to expand that for the other modalities. And this will take place during phase 2 and 3, but should be also prepared in phase 1. So don't be afraid about this huge diagram with a lot of information, but I would like to show here a bit of detail of what is going on with the 2 actors, which will be at the moment be inserted in this project, which is a PhD student and myself. And I would like to point out now here that there will be a crucial point here, which is the European workshop and international collaboration. Because as you saw, this is multimodal. Whenever we go in time, year 3 and 4, it starts to require really multimodal applications. And this is why it will be my dream and my desire to create an international symposium in year 3 and 4, as you see here, in order to invite several experts from other disciplines which are focusing on the architectural design. And this will be a special opportunity to generate proposals of projects for the next years for the multimodality of this project. So my future PhD and me will be working both hand by hand with the prioritizer tool and which are the architectural implications of this model. And he or she will start the project in the second half of the first year, which is, we have still a bit of time in order to to select who will be the correct candidate. And finally, the test itself will take place in year 3. So that means that before that, we have to capture or recollect or make the different 3D models and scenarios of different spaces that we will make in the test. So this is how the project itself, the PSD project, will be integrated, which is a recognition and classification of architectural patterns as a tentative title. And this can be a candidate, as Michel told, either from electrical engineering, computer science, or physics, or an architect with background in mathematics and statistics, which is, we have finally to decide how to evolve this. And here there are several details about that, but I would like to point out that because of the cross-disciplinary nature of this project, this is mandatory to make collaboration between different departments inside of the same university, but also outside of the university. So there I would like to mention that we will have collaboration between the architectural faculty of this university and also with the psychology faculty. However, there will be also outside several partners that they can collaborate in the future. Sorry for not including all the names here, but I finally decided to maintain the slides how they were in the call. So I started to include other partners, but it's huge. So then I finished. Don't modify it. So you see a small representation, but there are lots of them which are missing here. So yeah. So this is the long-term goal, and this will be the nice dream to construct this network. And let's hope that this network finally helps the architects and the architectural knowledge to really collaborate and also put the person in the center, which is the main actor for whom we construct the buildings and design them. So if there is any question, this is the final point of the presentation. And if there is any question, I think that we will be very happy to hear your comments if there is any.